Transparency in public finance is a cornerstone of trust between citizens and the state. In Singapore, however, critics have long argued that key areas, such as sovereign wealth funds, public housing costs, and healthcare reserves, remain shrouded in opacity. For decades, questions have swirled around the relationship between CPF monies, government reserves, and investment entities like GIC. Despite repeated calls for disclosure, the government maintains that CPF funds are invested in special securities, not directly managed by GIC. Yet the lack of absolute return figures and detailed breakdowns leaves many unconvinced. This scene sets the stage for our exploration, highlighting why transparency matters and how its absence shapes public discourse. Let's look at some concrete examples where transparency has been called into question. One major issue is the lack of public disclosure on how much GIC has earned in absolute terms since managing CPF-linked reserves. While percentage returns are published, the actual dollar gains, crucial for comparing with CPF interest paid, are not. Similarly, requests for a detailed breakdown of HDB flat prices into land, construction, and subsidy components have gone unanswered, despite repeated public and parliamentary queries. In healthcare, there's no comprehensive ledger showing inflows and outflows for MediSave or MediShield Life, making it impossible for outsiders to verify fund sustainability. These persistent gaps are not isolated mistakes, but reflect a structural approach to information control. Government often responds to transparency demands with legal or technical clarifications. For instance, it insists that CPF monies are guaranteed and not exposed to GIC's risks, and that HDB pays fair market value for land. However, critics argue that these explanations sidestep the core issue. Without full data, independent verification is impossible. Legal tools like the Protection from Online Falsehoods and Manipulation Act, POFMA, have also been used to correct or penalize critics, further complicating public debate. This creates a climate where both the government and its critics can be accused of misleading the public, and where genuine accountability is hard to achieve. Why do these transparency gaps matter so much? Critics like Liang Shihan argue that without access to full data, citizens cannot properly assess claims about pension adequacy, housing affordability, or healthcare sustainability. This undermines democratic accountability and intergenerational fairness, as decisions about reserves and public funds affect both current and future generations. Government's rationale for withholding data often centers on financial security and market stability, but this leaves the public in the dark about how their money is managed. Ultimately, public acceptance of policies depends not just on official statements, but on the ability to independently verify the facts. Singapore continues to evolve. The debate over transparency is far from settled. Structural opacity persists across key domains, from sovereign wealth to public housing and healthcare. Critics continue to call for reforms such as periodic audited reports, itemized cost breakdowns, and transparent asset allocations for public funds. While the government cites legal and security reasons for limited disclosure, the demand for greater openness remains strong. For a society that prides itself on good governance, finding the right balance between confidentiality and accountability will be crucial. Only then can public trust be fully maintained and policy debates move forward on a foundation of shared facts.